Thank you for your film, The Aeronauts.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you how you came to the source material, and also, for me, what was so amazing about it is you have these themes of sort of like scientific skepticism, casual sexism, but also a reverence for nature. So I was wondering how you navigated the source material and you went about developing your script with Jack Thorne.
Yeah. Well, I read this beautiful book called Falling Upwards by Richard Holmes, and that recants some of humans' first forays into the skies, and has a number of amazing sort of balloon flights. And we took various parts of each of those balloon flights and amalgamated them into one flight. So that's where the sort of inspiration for the film came from. But in particular, I was inspired by the extreme lengths that these people went to in order to expand our knowledge of the world. But then linked to that is that scientific pursuit was something that I think is not only very inspiring, but of course particularly relevant today, particularly in terms of our atmosphere. And one of the things they discovered on this flight, that one of these flights that the film is based around, is that our atmosphere sort of runs out, and if you like, and all life as we know it is contained within this thin band of air just 7 miles high, and as a result it's precious, and that couldn't be more relevant than it is today with the challenges we face in climate change. But you know, the casual sexism that happens in the film, well, it's not actually that casual, it's just, you know, it's pretty overt, really. And it's obviously something that we are still fighting today, and that's an evolution too. And I feel that since that time, of course, progress has been made in many areas, but we still have a long way to go. And you know, in having a female central character, you know, we wanted to address the balance between the, you know, because, you know, if you only make historical films, if you're making a historical film and you don't make an active choice to redress that balance, 90% or a huge amount of them would be about white men, I guess, if you're making them in this country. So we did want to that was an active decision behind that.
So I guess you've kind of answered my second question about her being a composite character that wasn't necessarily on the hydrogen balloon. So I'll move on to the next one, which is, as a director, I was wondering how you navigated a film which is at once this kind of expansive set piece in the sky and there's nothing that's there, but also a really claustrophobic environment with these two actors, and it's essentially a two-hander. So I was wondering how you went about that visually and working with your cinematographer, if you had any influences or what your process of creating this world was.
Well, there are a number of things that I really relish the challenge of telling a film all with two characters just in a very confined space. I thought that would present some real interesting possibilities to kind of think creatively about. Jack Thorne and I, the writer, and I made a film a few years ago called War Book, which was all set in one film, and I really liked the way it forced you to think creatively about how the visuals of the film change over the duration. And so for this film we thought very carefully about how does the visual language change as you kind of continue upwards, and partly you have the gift of an ever-evolving cloudscape and skyscape behind you, but also we made active choices about how we use the camera, the lens choices, the lighting choices. So actually, even though it posed many challenges, it also gave us many gifts as well. And I also just like those two characters in the basket together and what that does to them.
Yeah, that's great. Well, speaking of challenges, I was wondering if you had any that came up on set, filming in this really unique environment, if anything happened that you had to troubleshoot on the go, or how you went about, if they actually went into a hot air balloon and how you did that on set.
There were so many challenges with this film, but one of them was flying the balloon. We wanted to make as much of the film, or shoot as much of the film for real, and that meant flying a balloon. But of course, you know, for a film set around the weather, we were actually very dependent on the weather, and you can't, if it's too windy or too rainy, or you know, you need perfect conditions. So we spent a lot of time waiting and watching umbrellas up. But you know, you have to embrace that. We did this. There's this one scene at the end, and I really wanted it to be a sunny day, and it was pouring with rain. And we thought we were never going to be able to use it, but actually, there's something sort of rather wonderful about that as well. You know, you can't. you have to embrace the things that don't go your way and try and make them work for you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. I mean, it's such an optimistic film, and
Thanks.
yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as
Okay.
well.